Hi there grade 8s and welcome back to WorksheetCloud Maths. I hope you're all well today and ready for our next lesson in the series of decimals. So as you can see, we're on our fourth lesson and today we are going to be looking at decimals multiplied by another decimal. Okay, the next lesson will probably be our last lesson in our decimal series, and that will be looking at dividing decimals by decimals. But let's do one thing at a time and concentrate on today's lesson of multiplying decimals by decimals. Okay, so let's look at a example, 0,3 times 0,4. Well, the best thing to do to figure out how this is going to work is to first change those into common fractions. And as we know, 0,3 is 3 over 10 and 0,4 is 4 over 10. Now remember, we're dealing with decimals, so we want to keep our denominators as multiples of 10. So it's 10, 100, or 1,000, or we can go up to 10,000s, etc., etc. Okay, so what we're going to do here is not simplify, because we want to change our answer back into a decimal place. We are going to just multiply out, because we know that that's what we do when we multiply in fractions. Okay, so we're going to go 3 times 4 and 10 times 10. We will end up with 12 over 100. Okay, so now let's put this onto our onto our place value chart. There we go, there's the place value chart, and we're going to pop that onto there and see what decimal answer we get. Now remember, our denominator is 100, so our last number of our numerator must go in the hundredths column. So the 2 will go in the hundredths column, so that means that the 1 goes in the tenths column. We then have to put our decimal place in, and then the naught in the units column. So as you can see there, we've got no whole numbers because our fraction is a common fraction. It's not a improper fraction, so we can't make a mixed number. So let's put this onto our place value chart. There's the naught units, we've got no holes, our comma, decimal place, and the 1 and the 2. So our answer is 0,12. And there's the answer. What I want you to do is, as we're going through this, see if there's any kind of correlation between the decimals that we started with and our answer. Okay, so let's have a look at another one. We've got 0,6 times 0,5. Again, let's change those into common fractions. So we're going to get 6 over 10 and 5 over 10, and we're going to multiply them together. Again, let's not make the 5 over 10 into a half and the 6 over 10 into 3/5, because we want to keep our denominators as multiples of 100. So let's just multiply out. We're going to end up with 30 over 100. Okay, again, we've got hundredths, so our last number of our numerator must go in the hundredths column. So the naught will go in the hundredths column, the 3 in the tenths column, then the comma and the naught. So let's pop it onto our place value chart and see what answer we get. We're going to end up with 0,3 naught. Okay, now we all know, because we've looked at decimals, that this doesn't have any value. So when we're writing our answer, we can put it in, but we don't have to put it in. So that will be my answer, 0,3. If I wanted to put in the naught, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't change the value of the decimal number. Right, let's look at one more. We've got 1,2 times 0,3. We're going to again put it into a fraction form, a common fraction form. And in fact, this first one will be an improper fraction, because you see we've got a whole number. So it's 12 over 10 times 3 over 10. Because we also know, if we were to write it 1 whole and 2 tenths, when we are multiplying fractions, we have to change it into an improper fraction first anyway. So that would be 12 tenths times 3 tenths. Once again, let's not try and simplify, let's just multiply out. So 12 times 3 would give me 36, and 10 times 10, absolutely correct, it will give me 100. Okay, so I've got 36 over 100. I'm going to put that onto my place value chart. Look again, the last number in the numerator must go in the denominator's place, if that makes any sense. Okay, so it's hundredths, so the 6 must go in the hundredths column. So your answer is going to be 0,36. Okay, sorry, that came out a little bit the wrong way around. So it's 0,36, and there we have our answer is 0,36. There's no naught at the end to leave out. the last number in your numerator goes into your denominator's place. Okay, so let's carry on. What about this one? 0,02 times 0,4. We're going to again change it to improper fractions, not improper fractions, sorry, to common fractions. Remember, the 0,02 would be 2 over 100 because the 2 is in the hundredths place, times by 4 over 10. Okay, we're going to multiply that out and we're going to get 8 over 1,000. Now let's pull up our place value chart and let's put that in. Remember, our numerator has to go, the last number of our numerator has to go in the column that the denominator tells us. So it's the thousandths, so the 8 needs to go in the thousandths column, and we will get 0,008. Let's have a look, just like that. Okay, can you see there's 8 thousandths? What is our answer? 8 over 1,000. So to write that as a decimal, it would be 0,008. Everybody happy with that? Okay, let's go on. Let's look at the next one. 3,6 times 0,5. Again, here we've got a whole number, but it's 36 over 10. Okay, we could write it first as 3 6/10, but because we are multiplying, we need to make it an improper fraction anyway. So let's go straight to making it an improper fraction, and it will be 36 over 10 times 5 over 10. Okay, that makes sense to you, I hope, because we have got a whole number there. So 36 must be bigger than the 10. That is an improper fraction. We multiply that out and we get 180 over 100. 36 times 5 gives me 180. 10 times 10 gives me 100. So now I've got to put my last digit of my numerator in the hundredths column. So it will be 0 there, then 8 there, and then comma, and then 1. Because as you can see, that is an improper fraction. So when we put it onto our place value chart, we're going to end up with a whole number. So it will be 1,80. And when we write it, we can go 1,8 because, as we've said so many times before, this 0 is just a placeholder. It doesn't have a value. It will not change the value of the whole number. So our answer will be 1,8. Right. Right, so let's have a look at, because remember I said to you just now, just try and observe what's going on in our original calculation, in our number sentence, and the answer, the correlation between the two. So let's have a look. If we've got 0,3 times 0,4, our answer was 0,12. Okay, 0,6 times 0,5, our answer was 0,30. We could just write down the 0,3, but I want the 0 to be there because I want to show you something just now. Okay, 1,2 times 0,3 is equal to 0,36. We worked that out. 0,02 times 0,4 was 0,008. Are you having a look at the correlation between the number sentence and the answer? The next one, 3,6 times 0,5 was 1,80. And as I said, if you have a look at the correlation between the decimal places, have a look. We've got one decimal place there and another decimal place there, and we've got 2 decimal places in the answer. One decimal place there, another decimal place there, 2 decimal places in the answer. One there, 2 decimal places in the answer. Here we've got 2 and another one, so we've got 3 decimal places, and we've got 3 decimal places in the answer. Okay, and the last one, again, 2 decimal places in the number sentence, so we have 2 decimal places in the answer. So, how many decimal places in the calculation? Here, there's 1 decimal place in the calculation. What does that tell us about our answer? There's probably going to be 1 decimal place in the answer. So let's calculate this. We can see each time, well, let's look at the decimal places in each one. Okay, so the first one, there's 1 decimal place. In the second one, there's 3 decimal places. In the next one, there's 2 decimal places. In the next one, there's 3 decimal places. And in the following one, there's only 1 decimal place. Those give us clues as to how many decimal places in the answer. Well, it's not just a clue, it's actually an instruction of how many decimal places will be in the answer. So, if we've got 1 decimal place here, first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to change it back into a common fraction. And then we are going to, sorry, I thought there was a mistake there, but there actually isn't. Okay, so we've got 6 over 10, which is our 0,6. We've changed it into a common fraction. We also have to change the 2 into a fraction form, but that is going to be 2 over 1 because there isn't a decimal place. So we're multiplying 0,6 by 2, the whole number. So 6 over 10 times 2 over 1 will give me 12 over 10, and my answer is 1,2. So can you see we've got one decimal place in our number sentence, we have one decimal place in our answer. And soon we will be able to cut this out and go straight to our answer, but let's not jump the gun for now. So the next one, we've got 2 over 100, because it's 0,02, times by 3 over 10. There we have it. We're going to multiply out and get 6 over 1,000. Have a look. We've got 1, 2, 3 decimal places, and here we've got 1, 2, 3 decimal places. Okay, because that is going to tell us when we're not going to do this step how many decimal places to put in the answer. Now we've got 1,4, so we're going to have 14 over 10. 0,3 will give us 3 over 10. Like that, we multiply 14 by 3 and we're going to get 42 over 100. So where do we put our comma in? We count 2 decimal places, but we also know because our last number in our numerator has to go in our hundredths column. So it's 0,42. The next one, we've got 16 over 100. You can see there, it's 16 hundredths times by 2 over 10. We're going to multiply that out and get 32 over 1,000, and we end up with 0,032. How come? First of all, because we're dealing with our thousandths column. So we look at the 2 has to go into the thousandths column, and then we can fit in to the left from there. Or we can say I've got 1, 2, 3 decimal places here. I need to have 3 decimal places here. Okay, so then the next one, we've got 303 as a whole number. So that would be 303 over 1. We've got 303 units. Okay, and I've got 1/10. So I'm going to multiply 303 by 1 and 10 by 1, and I'm going to get 303 over 10. Okay, the last number in your numerator goes into the column of the denominator. So the 3 goes into the tenths column, and I'm going to end up with 30,3. Again, look here, I've got 1 decimal place, I've got 1 decimal place in my answer. Okay, so let's try some more. There's 0,6 times 3. I'm going to take out the comma. I'm going to multiply 6 times 3. I'm then going to calculate the 6 times 3, which will give me 18. And then I'm going to put the comma back. Okay, so how many decimal places did I have in my first calculation in my number sentence? I had 1 decimal place. So I need to have 1 decimal place in my answer, and my answer will be 1,8. Does everybody see that? That's what I explained to you in the previous slide. If you convert your parts of your number sentence, your 2 values in your number sentence, to fractions, it will be 6 over 10 times 3 over 1. So 6 over 10 times 3 over 1 is going to give me 18 over 10. The last number in my numerator must go in the tenths column, and there I have it. Okay, so to make it easier, what we're going to do is take out the comma like we've done here. We're going to multiply it out. We're going to get our answer and then put the comma back. It saves that step of converting everything into the fraction form. So there we got 1,1 times 1,2, which is actually 11 times 12. We know what 11 times 12 is. It's 132. Count the number of decimal places that you started with. I've got 2 in my number sentence. I need to have 2 in my answer. So then I go from the back, 1, 2. Okay, and it's 1,32. If you want to check yourself by converting to the fraction form first, you're quite welcome to do that, and you will have ended up with 132 over 100 as your answer. Okay, because here you do have whole numbers. Okay, right, let's carry on. Let's look at another one. 0,25 times 0,3. I'm going to end up with 25 times 3. We know what 25 times 3 is. It's 75. Now I've got 3 decimal places in my number sentence altogether. I need 3 decimal places in my answer. And remember, we always go from right, counting back to left. So we go 1, 2, and I need a placeholder. So it's now 0,075. So I've got 1, 2, 3 decimal places here. I've got 1, 2, 3 decimal places there. Okay, everybody happy? One more, 0,9 times 0,09. Take out all the decimal places and all the placeholders. It's just 9 times 9. That gives me an answer of 81. And then I need to put my comma back in. I've got 3 decimal places, my original number sentence. I've got to have 3 decimal places in my answer. So I'm going to count from the right, going towards the left. 1, 2, I'm going to need to put in a placeholder and a 0, comma. So it's 0,081. Okay, everybody happy? Let's look at another one. 1,8 times 0,3 will give me 18 times 3. Okay, I multiply that out, I get 54. And again, I've got 2 decimal places in my number sentence. I need 2 decimal places in my answer. So going from right towards the left, I'm going to go 1, 2, I can put my comma here. And the answer is going to be 0,54. Right, everybody happy with that? So now it's your turn. There are some calculations. Pause the video, try and work them out on your own without converting to fraction form. But if you need to, do that as a check. Okay, so pause the video, work it out, and when we come back, then we can go over your work. Right, let's see how you did. So there we have our 1,2 times 1,2. So take out the comma and go 12 times 12. We're going to first put in those columns. 12 times 12 will give me 144. I'm then going to count my decimal places in the first, in my number sentence. There's going to be 2 decimal places, so there must be 2 decimal places in the answer. So it will give me 1,44. Right? 5,4 times 0,2 is going to give me 54 times 2. Calculate that, it's going to give me 108. I've got 2 decimal places in my number sentence. I must have 2 decimal places in my answer. Please remember, you've got to go from the right towards the left and not the other way around. Okay, so I'm going to end up with 1,08. Next one is 31 times 5. And I'm going, well, it's 3,1 times 5, so I've got 1 decimal place there. I take out the comma, I calculate it to be 155. I then put my decimal place back in, counting from the right. Okay, so it's going to give me, you're right, 15,5. The next one is 0,7 times 0,08. Take out all the commas. I'm going to go 7 times 8. That's going to give me 56. And I have to count the decimal places in my number sentence again. I'm going to have 3 decimal places there, which means I've got to have 3 decimal places in my answer, which is going to give me 0,056. Everybody happy? Right, let's look at the last one. It's 0,6 times 9, which is 6 times 9. That gives me 54. I've got only 1 decimal place in my number sentence, and my answer is going to be 5,4. Right, everybody happy with that? If you have any queries, please don't forget to send an email with your query or your question to grade8@worksheetcloud.com. And please also, guys, go back in the video and play it again to yourselves and listen to the explanation again. Right, let's look at a problem that we can solve. Okay, we need to find the area of a square with the sides of 0,8 meters. Now we know to find the area of a square, we're going to go side times side. So our side is 0,8. So it means it's 0,8 times 0,8. What are we going to do? We're going to take out the commas and go 8 times 8. We know that 8 times 8 is 64. But before we put back our answer, we need to find out or figure out where our comma is going to go. So we've got 2 decimal places in our number sentence, and so we have to have 2 decimal places in the answer. And so it's going to be 0,64 meters squared. Everybody happy with that? Can you see how we got it? Our side is 0,8. We've got to go 0,8 times 0,8. We are then going to multiply out by taking out the commas. just 8 times 8 is 64. But can you see I also didn't put an equals here? I didn't put that underneath here because 0,8 times 0,8 is not the same as 8 times 8. So it's very important to use your equal signs correctly. Put it on the side to calculate what 8 times 8 is. Then you've got to put your comma back in, and then you can put the equal sign in, okay? Because the equal sign means whatever is on this line is equal to that line. So if we put the 8 times 8 here is equal to 8 times 8, we are actually incorrect. So please just remember that, okay? So our square has an area of 0,64 meters squared. Right, let's look at another one that you can try. Here we go. An exercise book is 0,016 meters thick. What is the thickness of 30 of these exercise books? Okay, so pause the video again. You try and work it out. Remember the use of that equal sign, just making sure that each line is equal to what's above. You work it out, and when we come back, we'll go over it again. Okay, so pause the video for now. Right, let's see how you did. Okay, so our number sentence is 0,016 times 30. Take out the comma and go 16 times 30. But remember, we cannot write it underneath here, otherwise we're not using that equal sign correctly. So 6 times 30 gives me 480. Did you all get that? Right. So now I need to put my comma back in. And that's where this note does come in handy, because we can't forget that note, even though it doesn't have a value when we put our comma back in. We can't forget that note when we are counting our decimal places. So we've got 1, 2, 3 decimal places. If we count here, it's 1, 2, 3. Our comma is going to go there. So it would be 0,480 meters. It's not actually, yeah, well, I suppose it's half a meter, about half a meter that the 30 exercise books takes up. I'm pretty sure they're pretty thick. Okay, right, guys, I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I can't wait to get back and show you how to divide a decimal by a decimal. So please join me next time, and I hope you keep well until then. Have a great day further, and see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.